My wife cheated on me after 17 years of marriage and ran back to her ex. My daughter told me she deserves to be with her true love. So in court, I gave up my rights as a husband and a father, and even the judge was speechless. Hello Reddit I+ here. My name's Raymond Holt, 45 years old. For 17 years, I thought I had built the perfect life. A wife, a daughter, a thriving business, and a home that felt like it would stand forever. My wife, Lydia, was the kind of woman everyone described as graceful. She knew how to smile at the right moments, how to make guests feel at ease, how to play the part of the devoted partner. Our daughter Sophie, 16, was the light of my world. Or at least I thought she was. I ran a construction company I'd built from scratch in my early 20s. Long nights, calloused hands, and a dream. That was all I had when I started. And I worked every day like I was still broke, just to make sure Lydia and Sophie never were. But there's something they don't tell you about comfort. It breeds curiosity. And curiosity, when mixed with old flames, burns everything down. One night, I came home earlier than usual. The house was quiet, but not empty. I could feel that something was off. Lydia was in the kitchen, phone in hand, smiling in that soft, secret way she hadn't smiled in years. When she noticed me, she jumped. Too quickly. "Who was that?" I asked. "Just a friend from college," she said, without looking at me. But later that night, I checked our shared laptop. The browser history wasn't wiped. She'd gotten sloppy. There it was. Messages. Hundreds of them. A man named Martin Blake, her college boyfriend. The one she told me years ago was ancient history. They'd been talking for months. Meeting at cafes, staying at conferences, sneaking off for weekends with her sister. My hands shook as I scrolled through her messages. I wasn't prepared for what I saw next. "He's good to me, but he's not you. He's safe, boring. You were always my true love. I can't wait to be free again. Sophie understands. She says I deserve to be happy." That last line cut the deepest. Sophie, my own daughter, encouraging it. The next morning, I confronted Lydia in the kitchen. She didn't deny it. She didn't even flinch. "I'm tired of pretending, Ray," she said, setting down her coffee cup like we were discussing groceries. "Martin and I have something real. Something I never had with you." I looked at Sophie standing in the doorway. She wouldn't even meet my eyes. When I finally asked, "You knew?" she whispered, "Mom deserves to be with her true love." That was the moment I felt something inside me break. But not in the way they expected. It wasn't heartbreak. It was clarity. 2 months later, we were sitting in a courtroom. Lydia with her smug lawyer, Sophie beside her, and Martin sitting behind them like a proud peacock. I wore my old gray suit, the one from our wedding. A symbol of how far things had fallen. The judge, Judge Whitmore, an older man with kind eyes, looked between us and sighed. "Mr. Holt," he said, "you're voluntarily surrendering the house, joint accounts, and alimony claims? You understand the implications?" I nodded calmly. "Yes, Your Honor. My wife deserves to be with her true love. My daughter made that very clear to me." Lydia's lawyer smirked, whispering something to her. Sophie was glowing, actually glowing, as if this was her coronation day. "Mr. Holt," the judge said again, "you're sure about this?" "The construction company stays with me," I said. "I built it before Lydia and I even met. Everything else, the house, the savings, the cars, they're hers." Lydia laughed quietly, turning to her lawyer. "We don't need his dusty old trucks anyway," she said, loud enough for the whole room to hear. The judge's gavel struck. "Divorce granted." Sophie hugged her mother. Martin grinned, and I walked out without looking back. My new apartment was small, 2 rooms above a bakery. The air always smelled faintly of sugar and coffee, better than the scent of betrayal I'd left behind. For 3 weeks, no calls, no texts, just silence and work. I threw myself into my company, doubling contracts, picking up government bids, expanding fast. I didn't realize how much energy I had been wasting on trying to be a good husband, until I didn't have to anymore. Then one Tuesday, my phone rang, unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. "Dad?" Sophie's voice, small, shaky, not the confident tone she'd used in court. "What's wrong?" I asked flatly. "Dad, please. It's Mom. We need help." I leaned back in my chair. "What happened?" "Martin left," she said, her voice cracking. He only wanted Mom because he thought you were rich. When he found out the business was yours, and Mom only got the house, he said he made a mistake. He took everything, the furniture, her jewelry, and just left." I stayed silent. "Dad," she whispered, "the house, Mom can't afford the mortgage. You signed it over, remember? The bank's taking it. She's been selling her stuff online to pay bills. I had to drop out of college." I finally spoke, calm and measured. "That's unfortunate. Dad, please. I know we messed up. Mom knows too. We shouldn't have said what we said. I could hear Lydia crying faintly in the background. Dad, Sophie pleaded, can we come stay with you? Just for a while. I took a deep breath. Sophie, I said quietly, your mother made her choice. You supported it. You both told me she deserved her true love. Now you get to live with that truth. Please, Dad, she sobbed. But I ended the call. Months later, I heard through mutual friends that Lydia's house had gone into foreclosure. Martin was already engaged, to someone 20 years younger. Sophie was living with a friend, working part-time, trying to rebuild her life. Me? I bought 3 new trucks, expanded my business into 2 more states. I even bought a new house. Small, modern, peaceful. No ghosts in the walls. Every night I sat on the porch with a glass of bourbon, looking at the sunset, and thought about that courtroom moment. The day I gave everything away was the day I got my freedom back. Sometimes walking away with nothing is how you end up with everything. And sometimes love doesn't end with heartbreak. It ends with peace. 6 months had passed since that phone call. Life had fallen into rhythm again, a quieter, calmer rhythm that I hadn't known in years. I woke up early, brewed my own coffee, and drove to work without any shouting, tears, or accusations echoing through the house. The silence that used to suffocate me now felt like oxygen. My company, Holt Construction, was booming. I had just landed a municipal contract that tripled our revenue. My employees, most of them people I'd trained myself, respected me. My accountant joked that I was divorced and thriving. I didn't date, didn't party, didn't chase new love. I wasn't bitter. I just wasn't ready to let anyone into a space that had taken me so long to reclaim. I thought Lydia and Sophie were gone for good. But life, as always, has a cruel sense of humor. It was a Friday evening in late summer when I heard a knock. I opened the door, and there they were. Lydia looked nothing like the woman I once knew. Her hair, once perfectly styled, was dull and tied back in a messy knot. Her clothes hung loosely, and the confident spark in her eyes was gone. Sophie stood behind her, clutching a worn duffel bag, eyes red from crying. "Ray," Lydia started, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Can we come in?" I crossed my arms. "You can talk from there." Her lips trembled. "Please, it's been a rough few months. We don't have anywhere else to go. The bank took the house, and Sophie's friend kicked us out. We've been staying at a motel, but—" I cut her off. "Why not stay with Martin? Isn't he your true love?" She winced. "Martin's gone. He lied about everything. His job, his money. He used me. I know I made mistakes, but, Ray, we were married for 17 years. Doesn't that count for something?" I leaned against the doorframe. Calm. It did. Once Sophie stepped forward, voice trembling. "Dad, please don't be like this. Mom's been sick. She's depressed. We lost everything. We need your help." I looked at her. "My help? The same help you told me Mom didn't need because she deserved better?" She started crying. "I was stupid, okay? I thought she was doing the right thing. I didn't realize how much you did for us." For a brief moment, I almost felt pity. Almost. But then I remembered the courtroom. The laughter. The way they both looked at me like I was disposable. That pity died fast. The manipulation begins. They didn't leave that night. Lydia called again the next day, then the next. Emails, texts, even letters, handwritten like we were living in another century. She used every trick she could think of. Guilt, nostalgia, even seduction. One message read, "You always said we were a family, Ray. Families forgive. Can't we just start over?" Another one, more desperate. "You don't have to take me back as your wife. Just let us stay with you until we figure things out. Please, for Sophie." Then came the last one, bitter and sharp. "You're heartless. I made one mistake, and you act like you're perfect. You'll die alone, Ray." That one made me laugh, because what she didn't realize was, I wasn't alone. I had peace. I had purpose. And I had freedom. A few weeks later, Lydia showed up at my office. My secretary, a no-nonsense woman named Carolyn, buzzed me. "There's a woman here asking for you," she said cautiously. "She says it's important." When I walked into the lobby, Lydia stood there, clutching a folder of papers. Her eyes darted around, avoiding the curious stares of my staff. "Ray, please, just hear me out," she said softly. I motioned her into my office. She sat across from me, fidgeting with the folder. "It's about Sophie. She's trying to go back to school, but we can't afford tuition. I was hoping, maybe you could help." Just this once, I stared at her. "You mean the tuition I was already paying before you both threw me out of your lives?" Tears welled in her eyes. "I was stupid, Ray. I was lonely and thought Martin cared. But he didn't. He just wanted what you built. I know I don't deserve your help, but Sophie—" I raised a hand to stop her. "Lydia, let me save you some time. You made your bed. Now you get to lie in it. Her jaw tightened. You can't just erase 17 years. I didn't, I said. You did. I just signed the papers. She opened the folder. Divorce papers, pictures of Sophie, unpaid bills, all laid out like evidence in a case I'd already closed. I stood up and handed them back. Take those with you. My company doesn't do charity. Not anymore. Lydia's face hardened. You've changed. I smiled. No, Lydia. I finally stopped being the man you could walk all over. Sophie's turn. A week later, Sophie came alone. She looked different. Older, tired. She sat in the cafe near my office, nervously stirring her coffee while I watched her. Dad, she said quietly, I don't expect you to forgive us, but I need you to know I'm sorry. I really am. Mom's been a mess. I've been trying to hold things together. I didn't interrupt. I let her talk. I thought she was right. That love was all that mattered, but you were the one who worked, who paid for everything, who was always there. I didn't see it then. I do now. Her voice broke. Please, Dad, just help Mom get back on her feet. She's not the same. I don't want her to. I sighed and finally spoke. Sophie, I'll always be your father, but I can't be the man who fixes the consequences of choices you both made. You said Mom deserved her true love, and I agreed. I gave her everything to make sure she could have it. Now that it's gone, I won't be the replacement plan. She nodded slowly, wiping her tears. I understand. When she stood to leave, she paused at the door. Dad, I hope one day you find someone who really sees you. I already did, I said, in the mirror. 1 year later. By the next year, Lydia had filed for bankruptcy. She was renting a small apartment in a rundown part of town. Sophie eventually went back to college on a scholarship. She sent me an occasional text. Updates, polite and short. And I always replied kindly, but never with invitation. I, meanwhile, was doing better than ever. I opened 2 more branches of my company, started mentoring young entrepreneurs, and even began dating someone new. Elena, a woman who didn't care about money or status, just peace. One night, Sophie called. Dad, she said softly, Mom's been asking about you. She said she saw you on the news, getting that business award. I chuckled. Tell her I said thank you. Then there was silence. I think she still loves you, Sophie said finally. I smiled faintly. That's fine. I stopped loving who she became a long time ago. Sometimes people mistake kindness for weakness. They think forgiveness means access, and silence means approval. But I learned that real strength isn't in revenge. It's in detachment. Because when I walked away from Lydia that day in court, I didn't just lose a marriage. I shed a life that was built on lies. Now, every morning when I start my truck, I glance at the small sticker on the dashboard, one Sophie gave me when she was 5. It says, Dad's the builder. She didn't know then what it would mean years later, because she was right. I'm the builder, of homes, of dreams, and of my own peace. When people show you who they are, believe them. And when they finally realize what they lost, make sure you're too far gone to care.